First of all, I know that this is an area of tremendous interest nationally. We know, especially since the Netflix documentary came out, we're getting a lot of calls. Let me begin by saying, kind of walk you through a simple explanation of the legal issues here. There are two vehicles upon which people that have been convicted of a crime, well, there are many, but the two are a habeas and the other one's a resentencing. They can ask for a review of their conviction.
Sir, I'm sorry, just the thumping on the...
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It's okay. Thank you. Yeah. Under a habeas, in this case, we've gotten petitions for the brothers in both. Under a habeas, basically what someone that was convicted is asking a review of new evidence that had been made available. That had that evidence been available to the court and the jury at the time of the trial, perhaps the outcome may have been different. And then there's a second process, and it's called resentencing under California law, where a prosecutor can evaluate whether someone has been rehabilitated, and based on their actions and the fact that they're not involved in criminal activity inside the prison, that their sentence could be reevaluated. In this case, again, the Menendez brothers are asking for a review through both of those vehicles. We have not decided on an outcome. We are reviewing the information, but I think it's also important that we recognize that both men and women can be the victims of sexual assault. We started a consent campaign to be timed with the red zone, and for those of you who are not familiar with the red zone, is when new kids are going into college, and for the first time they're away from home, and we know that there's an increase in sexual assaults during that period of time. Now, most of the victims are usually young women, but there are men also that are victimized. And in our consent campaign, we made it very clear that only a clear and desirable yes means yes, and anything else is not consent. And I spoke very clearly, especially to young men, because most of the time are young women that are the victims of sexual assault, that they also have an obligation to understand that consent has to be very clear. But we also recognize that sometimes men and boys are the victims of sexual assault. We're seeing now the allegations that in the case of Sean Combs, according to the civil lawyers, about a half of the victims, and they could be way over 100, were men. And we have seen over and over again when both young boys and young girls are molested. So today, what I want to make very clear, we have not conceded one way or the other. We're not saying that there was anything wrong with the original trial. We have been given evidence. We have been given a photocopy of a letter that allegedly was sent by one of the brothers to another family member talking about him being the victim of molestation. We've also got evidence that was provided by the defense, by his lawyers, that one of the members of the Menudo band alleged that he was molested by the father. None of this information has been confirmed. We are not, at this point, ready to say that we either believe or do not believe that information. But we're here to tell you that we have a moral and an ethical obligation to review what is being presented to us and make a determination based on a resentencing side, whether they deserve to be resentenced, even though they were clearly the murderers, because they have been in prison for 35 years and they have paid back their dues to society, or whether a habeas is appropriate if there was evidence that was not presented to the court at that time, and had that evidence been presented, perhaps a jury would have come to a different conclusion. I don't think there is any question in this case that the boys or the men, young men, one was 19, the other one was 21 at the time, that they murdered their parents.
Thanks. so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.